So it was supposed to be a compilation of the semester's assignments, just kind of put together in a format that could be used to showcase professional experience and then develop further over time. And to be perfectly honest, when I first got this assignment, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I mean, I was going to make a website about all the school I did. Who does that? But it turned out pretty well. I started out, I was like, okay, I got to do this. Might as well have fun with it. I enjoy nature photography, so I took a couple of my favorite pictures and I just made the backgrounds for all the web pages. And that was a fun way to get started. And then after that, I just took a couple of my assignments from throughout the semester and I started incorporating them in just as is. And when I started doing that, I could really see like how I had changed from the beginning of the semester, because otherwise I would have never looked at the stuff I worked on week 1, week 2. And so I did that, and that really helped me work on writing some real reflection later on in the portfolio. So this is my first page, and on here I have my introduction right here, and then I have, you know, table of contents. But then the main part of this page was my personal narrative. So this was an essay I wrote at the beginning of the year to kind of help my instructors get to know me and show them my goals and who I really try to be as a person. So I thought this would work really well as an introduction to introduce people to me and just kind of get them interested in the portfolio as a whole and just not click away. So I'm not going to read through it now, it's just like a bunch of text, but you get the idea. You can look at it later. So then we move on to my path tab, and for this one I wanted to still give a bit more background on myself, and I wanted to show like how all my interests and my activities really led me to Virginia Tech. So I created this map here, where it's just kind of like a nice little way to show how all the interests and activities kind of combined together, and then they eventually led me down here to Virginia Tech. So that was kind of like, this is where I come from. And then I wanted to show where I want to go from here. So I picked 2 positions, two possible careers that I want to go for, and I just kind of made this another little chart showing all the qualifications that are required for these 2 careers. And then I just kind of overlaid them to see where I had overlap in the requirements needed, and then I showed where my current skill set is right now. So this shows where I am now and also helps me see exactly what I need to accomplish if I want to pursue either one of those careers. And then just kind of to give my qualifications in a nice compact format, I put my resume at the bottom in a nice little button. So then after that, I figured I'd given enough background, and so I would actually start getting into my academics, what I experienced my first semester. So for our first semester class, we had to pick a natural resource issue and then write a research paper on it. Now I was homeschooled, so I hadn't really had to write research papers before, so this was a really new experience for me. I learned a lot of great skills, and I'll get to that fun experience a bit later on. But I didn't want to just put my research paper on here because that'd be like 6 pages of text, and who likes giant walls of text? I mean, they're kind of boring. So I put my research paper linked with a button, and then on the page itself, I really wanted to just kind of give a summary of everything I discovered and found out about the issue, and also at the same time fill in gaps that I noticed when I went back through my paper and try to get a better overall view of what my paper had discovered and what I had learned from it. And then, of course, just to add some color to the page, I made another one of these maps, and I tried to use it to show all the different aspects that my paper was incorporate. It was just kind of a way to jazz up the page and make it a bit less boring. Now, on my next tab, which was inquiry, I wanted to talk about why I picked white nose syndrome, which, by the way, is a fungal pathogen that is killing off massive number of bats across eastern North America. But you can read the portfolio if you want to learn a lot more about that. But I wanted to talk about why I picked the topic and what the problems were that I encountered when I started doing it. Because like I said, this was like one of my first real research papers that had to have actual reliable sources, that are journal articles, not Wikipedia. And avoid plagiarism, because apparently that's important now. So I had a lot of learning to do. I learned how to use the Virginia Tech library site, how to find reliable sources, and how to really put together a good paper, and also at the same time pick topics that might not necessarily jump out to you right away, but then discover that they can become really interesting as you move on. And then I just put in a picture that seemed appropriate just to, again, just kind of keep some color on the page, keep it a bit less boring. And then kind of continuing on that point of what I was doing, of kind of transitioning from being homeschooled to college, I put in another page. This is more on my transition from being homeschooled to college and other issues I encountered along the way. So, for instance, you know, as a homeschool student, you don't have a lot of structure in your schedule. That's what's amazing about it. But when you come to college, you have to have structure in your schedule. Otherwise, you're going to start having a lot of problems. And I learned that really, really fast. So there were some things from being homeschooled that helped me, and some things that didn't. So I had to, in this page, I tried to explain about what helped me and what definitely had to be changed to survive academically. And then something really cool I noticed when I went back through this is I noticed a really cool parallel in my coursework. I was taking calculus last semester, and I was not enjoying it at all. Just a bunch of really terrible formulas. And I was like, this is pointless. I just can't wait to get through this. But then when I was researching my paper, I actually found a journal article that had formulas for calculus that were being used to model back mortality rates. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? Apparently I do need to know this. So that was like a good wake-up call, and it showed me that, yeah, these gen eds might be boring now, but I do need to learn this stuff because it's going to be applicable later down the road. And so that's kind of like what I was trying to hit with this page, and really how my approach to school had to change as a result. And then finally, I have my aspirations for student learning, and that's kind of like the upshot, where I plan to go from here. Because, yeah, my first semester I ran into problems, and I had to overcome them, but I did overcome them, and I feel that I improved and grew stronger because of them. And I think that really speaks to the whole process of creating a C portfolio. I started off thinking it was really dumb, but now I really realize like how awesome this can be. Not only just for like being able to look back and reflect on my experiences, but also the potential this has in like job applications and other applications like that. Because resumes are great, but they're just black text on paper. So if you're trying to communicate like a really good like internship or something you had, if you create a web page that has pictures, color, interactive content, you can really show what you did in a meaningful way, whereas a resume might not get that across. And so I think that's really where I want to take my portfolio from here, is move on into being able to really showcase all my professional experience and keep it together as a good, colorful resource that really communicates what I've done in a meaningful and entertaining way, because it's better than a resume in that regard. That's all I have, so thank you.
I just love what you started, sort of how you wrapped it up there at the end too, about like the seemed dumb at the beginning, and it becomes sort of a meaningful exercise. Did you find that that idea came around when you were finished with the portfolio, or was it happening as you were
It definitely happened as I was doing it.
Like more things come together.
Yeah, it definitely started off, like I said, just when I started putting pictures in, I was like, hey, this could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then like by the time I got like 2 pages done, I was like, this could be really awesome. And yeah, I just kind of like, my level of, like my faith in it just kind of like increased as I went on. So yeah, it started pretty quickly, but
excellent
definitely.
point that you ended up thinking about the next steps for it too, in terms of it being a growing professional space for you too. I think that's a really good point for you to grow.
I had a question. I love your portfolio as well, fabulous, and I really love the kind of reflective engagement, as you were saying, that's clearly the development process and how you kind of embrace that and kind of ran with it. Have you thought about adding a blog page and even microblogging, being on Twitter, so people like me can follow you and read that and increase that part of your professional stuff?
I actually hadn't thought of that, but now that you say it, I think that's a pretty good idea. Like, right now, I I'm not like really increasing a lot of my professional experience, but like next semester I'm gonna be taking a lot more classes like in my field.